So today I wanted to go through and discuss a video done by Kyle Bergman or the YouTube channel K Boges, because I think the idea of what he's talking about is both interesting and very useful. I've had many subscribers compare my content to his, as we have a lot in common and our ways of training, and I wanted to go through this idea and share my views on it, on how we can use it in a practical way to improve our results. I've talked a lot about progressive overload in my videos, and I do think it's an important thing to focus on even after watching this video. However, points made I think will make all of us better understand and use progressive overload for better results. Before we begin, if you enjoy the content, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe for more calisthenics fitness content. Let's get into the video.
So the three main technical errors I see: number one, poor range of motion; number two, excessive use of momentum; and number three, technical compensations, kind of just doing whatever you feel you need to do in order to complete a rep.
This is very true and something that we have all been guilty of at some point in our training. This is something I have touched upon when discussing rep ranges and highlighting that they are just indicators of intensity and time and attention. There's nothing special specifically about reps. They are not the variables that are making you bigger and stronger. So if you're cutting corners just to reach them, just like these 3 points, or the topic of this video, just to hit a progression, you are making a big mistake. Our form and technique and the tension we creates the changes that you're after, not the rep or the progression you are after. So don't cut range of motion or use momentum or like extending your chin just to make a pull-up, because all you are doing is cheating yourself. So I completely agree with this point.
And if you train like this long term, you can expect poor muscle development, poor strength gains, and an increased injury risk. Pretty much all the things that we're trying to avoid in training.
This is true, and why proper form is so important in not only making progress, but long-term training, limiting the risk of injury.
Now, many people have this idea that we need to constantly force our body to do more and more in order to stimulate gains, but in reality, progress can't be forced. It happens automatically as a result of productive and smart training.
Okay, this is an interesting part, and for many, they can compare it to sort of like the chicken and the egg scenario. Did we improve due to creating progressive overload, or did we already adapt, and that is why we are able to progress? The key thing to understand here is that we cannot keep adding volume or increasing intensity indefinitely. A common place we get to if we keep doing this or trying to force it is going to be a plateau. So there's definitely logic to this point.
So doing more doesn't drive progress. Good training allows you to do more.
An interesting idea to think about: we can all focus too much on progressive overload, that we force a progression that we are not ready for. But what does make us better is fine-tuning our form and technique and putting in the work to get better. Putting in that work can make us ready for that progression and not the other way around.
And oftentimes they're so focused on getting to the next level that they just end up performing progressively worse technique and ultimately fooling themselves into thinking they're making gains just so they feel like they've earned the right to move on to a harder progression.
This point I think is key here, and it's true. People cheat themselves trying to progress, thinking that it's the progression that gives them the results. They think getting from point A to point B is what creates those gains, when it's actually the process from getting from point A, B that does. It's what you do to be able to make that jump is what brings the results, not reaching that progression that brings the results.
All right, so here's how you avoid this problem. Focus on the process and treat every session as a practice with the goal of performing the highest quality reps that you can. And instead of looking at basic exercises as something standing between you and your goal, look at them as something to master.
This is perfect, and I wholeheartedly agree. A topic in a podcast that me and Matt from the Red Delta Project talked about was on this point, and it was in reference to weighted calisthenics. People are so focused on upping the weight, thinking it's upping the weight that will bring the results that they are after. The weight is just a tool, but the way in which you use it is how can you wring out as much progress out of that tool to get to the point where it is no longer useful to you, to get to the point when you can master that weight or master that progression. Only after that do you increase it. This is that point. We should focus on mastering the progression we are on. We should focus on how we can get better at it, and how can I perfect the form, the technique in creating tension. This is what brings the results, and once you master this step, you are ready to move on and not before then.
Remember that attaining the end goal doesn't confer any benefits. The process is what confers the benefits, and all of the power of training lies in the process.
Yes, completely. It's what we do in between those progressions that are important, not the progressions themselves. It's the work that we put in that delivers a result, not hitting a certain milestone or a progression that brings them.
It's in the day-to-day practice of the simple things. And if you do this in accordance with good training principles like using sufficient volume, training hard so you're taking sets close to failure, and managing your fatigue, the progress will happen automatically. It's not something that you have to force.
So this is an interesting idea on progressive overload. And I think if we use it in this way, we will be able to make consistent gains for the foreseeable future. The takeaway from this for me is don't rush your progressions. Don't rush trying to create progressive overload. It's important, but the process is also important too. Focus on mastering the fundamentals, focus on your form, on technique, on creating tension. Don't cut corners trying to create progressive overload. You will only cheat yourself and the results you are after will not come. I hope you guys liked the video. If you have other videos you want me to review or discuss, please comment them down below and I'll check them out. Hit the like button if you enjoyed this video and make sure you subscribe if you want more calisthenics and fitness content. I'll see you guys in the next video.